first RSLAZ.
Cool. Well, it's nice to see you guys again. I was here in March, and I'm sure a lot of questions and a lot of things have come up since then. So I'm excited to be in front of you guys and just kind of dive in. I know and recognize a lot of you guys, just again from working one-on-one. But I do know that there's a lot of people here that I have not worked with, and so I'm assuming you guys your guys' range from, how often you guys have been in the system is from very beginning to the most advanced and ready putting cards and going to tournaments. So since we have such a bigger crowd here today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pretty high overview of configuring your guys' registration events. We've already done most of that for you guys. I'm just going to dive in and show you what you guys need to, the first thing you guys need to do when you very first log in. Not too much you guys need to do since we already set everything up for you guys. So we won't spend too much time on that. What we will spend most of the time is diving into once you have players registered and managing that data, the correct registration or flow of managing that data, getting players on teams or creating teams, getting players on teams, age ID verification, and so on. So really just walking through the correct and the best workflow for you guys to get your players ready for their tournaments and their games. Okay? All right. So the very first thing when you log in, you're going to see on the left here some events. So these are going to look a little different. You're going to have your competitive, your academy, and your tier 4 in-house events. If you don't have, let's say you're a competitive club, you don't have tier 4 players, you could go in there and delete that if you want. Or you can leave it and just mess around with that event. It won't affect anything. So if you want to go ahead and just delete it, no problem deleting it. But those are the 3 events that we have created for you guys. Okay? So the first thing you want to do when you log into the system, let's say we're going to work in our competitive event today. Okay, mine says 2018-2019 competitive copy. Yours just say competitive. The very first thing that we're going to want to do is make sure that the forms that we have put into the systems, if you guys have any additional questions that you guys ask your members, we're going to want to go ahead and add those to the forms, okay? The forms, you can access the forms by going to registration, administration, form builder. Keep in mind, I've already worked with the state and adding all of the state requirements that they want you guys to collect for your players, okay? What we also have done is we mapped out those fields to be printed on the ASA medical release forms. Do not delete anything on those forms or else it will not map to the ASA medical release forms. You can always add to it, but don't delete anything.
Can you just I'm sorry, he was getting in, so I didn't see where'd you get
Sure.
the forms from?
Registration.
So when I'm in competitive, go on the registration. Okay.
Registration, administration,
Okay.
form builder.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you are a club who let's say you guys use a different vendor and you guys just want to open up registration to get your players in the system, you've already collected that data in your other system, okay? So you can at that point go in and delete the questions because you've already collected that information and you're already at that point collecting the ASA requirements on paper for your parents, okay? So if you're using a different vendor to process payments and you just want them to register to get into the system, you could delete those questions on the forms just so that when your parents go on, you're not collecting that data once again from them, and it's an easy process for them to just easily log in, walk through registration, answer like 2 or 3 questions, and submit it. So it'd be an easier process for your parents. Okay? But if you have not, yeah.
Are you able to upload if you have all that data already collected in another system?
No.
You can upload the
You
players.
can import your players, but that data is only collected if they walk through registration in our system and answer those questions. Because when we import players, we import on a specific template used across all associations and all members in our system. So at that point, just importing data or importing players, you're just importing your players into the system for you to manage your players, not collect data.
So will they have to go back in and fill out that information after we've imported them, or how does?
No, because at that point, you'd have to collect that information offline.
So, basically what you're saying is like, code of conduct at the injury, I don't know if you can see it from here, when I say, we have to collect that if we're, like, manually, if we're not part, if we're, okay? Alright.
Yeah, because in our system, I mean, we're the state provider, so that's why we have that data in there for you guys to keep on our system. Okay, so we have the waivers, the medical release questions, any other minimum requirements that the state requires from you, we collect that in our system. I don't know what, such as sports agent, got soccer, they're not working directly with the state, so I don't know what they're, in terms, collecting for your guys' players. But our system is set up to collect and capture that information for the state, for your players, so that we can keep it in our system and not, have that paper trail.
Quick question.
Sure.
Are we using at all the membership form from ASA, or is that no longer needed?
The
That's
form?
essentially the information that's going into this.
Okay.
Like
So
that's
the-
when somebody
But
registers
it's no
online,
longer
it's
that
essential.
phone there, they're filling
So the
out.
form, so we did map out the ASA medical release form, and that's the
That's
required
it.
form for the
Okay.
state. So again, so this form right here, like, anything that says state master, it's gonna say state master academy competitive tier 4 in-house. That form is mapped out to that form you're talking about, the ASA, registration form.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
membership form.
So we put in all the questions on that form in these forms already, so that it prints off, so that you don't have to
The
collect that
prints off the
offline.
medical release.
What's that?
It prints off the medical release form.
Correct, and then the notarized section at the bottom.
Do they have to have it notarized?
Only if they're traveling out of state, I
Out of
believe.
state, okay.
Yeah. Alright, so jumping back into the forms, again, anything labeled master, that's mapped out to ASA's forms. You don't necessarily need to do anything else unless you wanna add additional information specific to your club. Okay, so if I click on the form, I have the option here to add any items to parent guardian 1, parent guardian 2, and player. Okay, so anything that has a check mark over here has already been added to the form. And you can add any additional questions you feel fit for your club. Okay, so we have some standard questions, we have emergency and medical questions, we have school, uniforms, donations, and so on. If you don't see any questions in here, we've pre-populated these questions based off of popular demand and what we've seen most clubs use. If you don't see anything in here, you can always custom build a question. We have basic fields, we have text fields, numbers, radio buttons, drop downs, dates, phone numbers, and emails and addresses. So again, you can add anything to your form, but I wouldn't recommend deleting anything if you don't want to collect that information offline on paper. Okay? Any questions on forms? Yes.
So just backtrack on the form, so is it your suggestion if you're using somebody else within your own club to delete these? Or
You can't delete, no, I would
is
never
there any
delete
harm
them.
in keeping him there?
No, there's no harm in keeping them.
Okay.
So for you, if you're using a different vendor, how are you getting your players in the system?
So I would have to upload, I believe, right?
Well, there's 3 ways. Import is the last, that should be your very last option.
Okay.
There's 3 ways of getting your players into the system. Online registration, processing credit card fees, or processing credit card payments. If you guys use a different system, you guys can still open up registration to have your parents walk through, getting them into the system, without processing payments. You can make it a very simple process by deleting the questions on these forms. What I would recommend is creating a copy of the form, and then using the copy and deleting questions off that copy. So I'm gonna show you right now how to do that. So for instance, if you just want your players to register in the system without processing payments, just so that you're not admin entering these players, okay? What I recommend is copying. So let's say I want to, for my in-house player registration, okay? I want my players to just simply go on, input their name, date of birth, and so on. It's very simple. I'm going to want to delete the questions in these forms. So I also want to keep the form for later use. So what I could do is where it says in-house player registration, I could copy it, and just leave it as copy. Okay. Now you're gonna see it in gray at the top. Okay. Why that is gray is because we didn't enable this form for our events. All we did was create it. We didn't enable it for use. So I'm gonna enable it, and I'm gonna come in here to my player, and I'm gonna delete all the questions that I do not need. So country of birth, citizenship. I mean, you guys can leave that if you want your players to go through the ITC clearance. But if I just want to collect just basic information, I'm gonna come in here and delete everything. Whoops. Alright, you guys got it. So I'm just gonna save it. And so the only thing that's required is the very minimum requirements that our system requires, such as name, birth date, address, state, zip, and so on. So that way when they log in, their parents are walking through registration, they just need to enter the player's first name, last name, date of birth, address, and then hit continue and submits them through.
If our systems are, like this is, like, we're using that soccer as a club. If they're collecting a little bit of information for us, is there a way to just upload all the information?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get to that a little later, or?
I'm gonna touch on it a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll talk to you after.
Yeah, we can take that offline.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you and I can work together.
Thank you.
Okay? Any more questions on forms? Nope. Okay. So I'm gonna close out of it and I'm gonna jump back into my registration event. Okay? I'm gonna come up here. So if you notice, we have registrants and coach and volunteer. Okay? Each registration event is going to have two registrations, one for your players and one for your coaches. So again, we've already created and opened up these registration events for you. You just need to come in here and update it to your club's specific information. So if I want to work with my players, I'm going to click registrants. You're going to see a bunch of tabs here on the right that I recommend just with the registrars that I work with, just working your way down these buttons here, these edit buttons. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click edit an event name and settings. What I always recommend is in the title section, if it's a player registration, I want to make sure that I label player somewhere in the title. Okay. Down here we have the form. This used to be an academy event. I just switched it to competitive. But if this was a competitive event that you're working in, it would say State Master Competitive. And then for Academy, State Master Academy, in-house, State Master, in-house. Okay. Share data with the association. That allows your information to flow directly up to the association, where Dolores and Michelle will be managing that data. So everything is automatically sent to the state for them to review. Okay. Contact information. So this is where you're going to want to update the contact information to the registrar that should be receiving information, such as who's been registered. If there's a question on the forms, not the forms, but when the forms in the email success page goes out, that's the email that will be listed. Okay. I assume that most of you guys are through tryouts since it's pretty late in the season. So we're gonna want to switch this to no. However, if you do want to run tryouts at any point, this is where the setting is. Then we can create your registration event as a tryout registration, which will allow you to run tryouts as well as assign your participants for a regular season. Okay. Auto roster. That's a configuration that you guys won't worry about this year. However, for next year, what that allows, if that's switched to yes, it will allow you to turn it on to allow your members, your parents, to opt into registering directly to the same team they were on last year.
I have a question about the tryouts. So if we already have an event set up and there's fees attached to that event, and if we remove the tryouts, it's linked to our event. And right now it charges a fee, like a $40 late fees.
But why would you want to take your tryout out?
Because it's charging them a late fee when they try out.
Then to get rid of the late fee.
We want a late fee for when they like if they're registering late. But we
So
we don't want the late fee attached to the tryout fee.
So the people that are late are the ones registering indirectly to your event, not the so we'll have to take a look at your
Okay.
event, because when they register, you only have the option to register into either to that event, which if it's first tryouts, then that's what they're gonna go to.
There should be a fee attached to that.
Let's take a look at it after. I'll make a note. What club are you with again?
It's Yavapai, Lori.
Say that again?
Lori from Yavapai.
Okay.
Okay, and then just some more advanced settings here that you guys can review. Uniform colors, guest players, Team Connect. And then once you're done entering that information, you're going to come down here and hit update. Okay? If we scroll down a little bit more, further down, what you're going to see are the categories for your event. Okay? What categories are is they're the pools that your players are going to register into. Okay, so we call them categories. So if I'm a U12 boys, I'm registering into U12 boy category. Okay? One thing to keep in mind that's extremely important, I cannot stress this enough, is when I go into these categories, I need to make sure that my member type is adjusted accordingly to the program and age group, okay? So for competitive, that's for a U12 age group, it's tier 2, okay? Let's see, if I go into recreational, all my players should be tier 4s. So if I go into recreational, registrants, and then come down, or edit, and then I come down and view my categories, all these categories should be listed as tier 4, because that's recreational, right? Okay? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that once you update your member types for a category, you go back and verify the next category that they're tier 4 as well. Update, back, and so forth. Okay? Also on this screen, you're going to have a lot of configurations that you guys can adjust. Registration is open. You're going to want to switch this to yes. Title, this is the title that your players will see and your parents will see when they log in to register. Okay? Your base fees, your charging fees, registration open close date, max participants, I always put 999. If you guys have a limit for each category, obviously go ahead and input what that limit is for your guys' club. Okay? Again, member types, make sure your member types are adjusted accordingly. Enable waitlist. If you guys have a max participant for each category, you guys do have the option to enable a waitlist. Okay? Auto confirmation, you guys, it's set to default to yes. If you guys do not want to auto confirm, just uncheck, check. So what that means is if it's set to auto confirm, as soon as a player registers, that player is automatically confirmed for your club, to your club. Okay? You can at any time reject the player. And I'll show you, we'll walk through that here in a bit. Hide registration, open close dates. These configurations down here, I always say no, because from experience, it's always best to provide as much information to your parents as possible. So you don't want to hide, I mean you can. What this is hiding registration, open close dates, hide base fee, hide category when closed, hide age group information. Hiding that information, from experience, from what I've seen, it just causes more phone calls and emails to you guys as registrars. Okay? Come down a little bit further. We have the option here to input late fees and early discounts. Okay, so if I want to allow early discounts, let's say that the early discount is from March 5th to, let's say, August 17th, they get a $10 discount or $15 discount. Would be nice. Hit add. Okay? If you come down here, you'll have that early discount listed right here. And we can delete that at any time. Okay? Same thing with late fees. I can always add a late fee as well. Okay? Any questions on this so far on configuring your guys' categories? Does categories make sense to you guys, what they are and why they're important? Yes.
I was just gonna say, I know one of the questions we had come up last night was the year, the birth year. This is also one of those places where you can do U8 boys or U8 and then put a dash and the birth year if you're wanting both, or you can also change it to just the birth year if you want to use that, category as well as your category headers.
So the parents, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I know we have, one state association that does both, where they'll do U8, 2012s, and then boys afterwards.
But that's something that you have to update every single year, right? If you-
No, what you could do is if you update it this year, next year what you guys have the option to do is copy your guys' folder structure. So by copying your folder structure, it's gonna copy the labels that you guys input into this year's event. So you guys won't have to start brand new. Okay? That's a good question.
So subtitle boys and girls or just the age group? Is it, I mean, just looking for an easier, friendlier way. I mean, what I'm saying is that, like, right now you have U till 7, and then you have boys and girls, versus U7s, just U12 or U11, whatever. Instead of having boys and girls, just the age group.
You're talking about here?
Yes.
How would you put your players on teams if you don't identify if they're boys or girls
So
teams?
if we didn't have boys and girls under there, what would happen is if we made just U7 the category, boys and girls will register to U7. So what we do is we separate them into the boys section and girls. But if you want, you can delete that. However, we just think it's best practice to divide those two.
And you
Yeah.
can do it the other way, where you do boys and girls and then U7 underneath it. So you can do boys,
Yeah.
boys
so
here and girls here, and then the U7s, U8s underneath that.
So yeah. So I think what for next year, if you want, what would be best is if we created a new folder here.
I saw your hand, just a second.
I'm just gonna create a new folder. I think what you're looking for is more of this kind of setup. Or how should I do this test waitlist? New tree builder. So the setup that it looks like you're looking for is gender with age folders. And what that looks like is, so right here we have boys, girls, and then we can drop it down and have all the age groups listed under boys, and then age groups listed under girls. Does that make sense? Is that kind of what you're looking for, a little bit easier? Yeah. So if you guys have the option, I could walk through it with you on how to set that up. I don't know if it's something you want to do this year. I don't know how far in registration you are right now.
We're more than halfway done. So
Oh, that's right. Roadrunners, yeah. Okay. So maybe something for next year that we can talk about. Yeah.
You had another question.
Yeah, and we have it in, we have to select if it's a boys, girls team. And I've had some girls that play on boys teams and they're not able to register unless we switch it over to co-ed. I know that's not gonna be a huge problem this year because everything has to go through dot soccer to register for these tournaments, but in the future, is that gonna be an issue?
I'm gonna let you answer that.
Well, we could request an enhancement request for that.
What?
Or
So you can put a girl on a boy team.
They can't register though. for it.
they can register under a girl, and then once they're registered, you can move them into a different team.
that's the same issue that we had with age groups.
Yes.
We have, players playing up, and, they couldn't register under that particular
What happens,
team.
so what happens if I have a U9 team and I only have a boys team? And I don't have a girls team for the girl to register.
So that's what I'm saying, I could provide that feedback back to my team, my product team, because, yeah, I mean, that's an enhancement request that I've heard before, so.
I'll
the
make a
more-
note.
Yeah,
So that we'll make it so that a girl can register to the boys category and then they will be there for you to
Yeah.
see or.
because right now they have to list it as co-ed, and US Soccer doesn't recognize co-ed teams, especially competitive teams, so that's why that'd be a great enhancement. Okay,
Good question, thank you.
any more questions as far as, folder structures and creating the events? Nope. Awesome. Alright, so jumping back into our competitive event up here. Speaking on the topic of age settings, if you guys have players playing up, right now the age settings are set so that only U7s can register into U7s, U8s can only register into U8s. If you have a program such as competitive where you guys might skip an odd age group, to edit those settings, right now, so Roadrunners, what you guys did is they registered directly into an age group. You had to move them over, re-register them into the correct age group. The reason for that is because the age settings that we currently have in there are tied to exactly what their age group is. To allow U7s to register to U8s, what we'll want to do is open up the age settings, the age range, okay? So how I got to this screen, it's on a lot of screens here, so it's on your main event page. You can go to even down to the folders, even as low as the categories. This edit age settings on pretty much every screen. If I come up here and go to edit age settings, let's say that I don't have a U7, but I have a U8s, and U7s are allowed to play with U8s. So what I want to do is the very oldest age at the earliest birth time, which is 1/1/2011, to the latest date of the youngest player, which would be 2012's. So that's saying any player born on 1/1/2011 all the way up to 12/31/2012 will be able to play and register to a U8 group. I just hit update. It's gonna prompt this sign, this message, and I'm just gonna hit OK. So now when I come here to age settings, it'll allow me to register U7s to U8s. We can delete U7s. I'm not sure if it's gonna let me delete it because I have someone registered in there. Yeah, it won't let me delete it. But you can go in there and delete that age group. Okay? Any questions on opening up age groups? Age settings? No? Okay. Alright. So once we configure our registration event and update it to that's tied specifically to your club, what we'll want to do is take a look. Well, first we'll want to take a look at our coach registration. For coaches, it's a lot simpler to just go in here and coach volunteer, and all you need to do here is hit edit in the event name and settings, add your title so that it reflects it's a coach registration, update your contact information. You're going to notice here that's going to give you background check providers and use instant background checks. Ignore all of this. Everything is already configured for you guys, for your coaches at the state level. Okay? So there's there's no additional information that you need to provide or input. Just update here your contact information, come down here and hit update. And that's pretty much it for your coaches. If you're a club that wants to pass that fee, the background check fee to your, well, let me just ask, who is wanting their coaches to pay for the background check fee? Anybody? Most clubs I've worked with, those clubs are taking care of the fees for your admins. Yeah? Okay, perfect, so I'll skip that part. Alright, so as soon as we got that configuration set, we're ready to publish both our player registration and our coaches. If you guys are doing imports, you'll still need to at some point, publish your coach registration, cause every single coach needs to register online. Okay? So, what you'll want to do.
The reason, let me just go ahead and touch on that really quick. The reason that your coaches have to register online is because there's an agreement they have to sign that allows us to authorize the background check. We cannot by law run a background check on somebody without their legal consent. So we have to have them sign the consent form allowing us to push that background check through the system to the background check company to run their background check and then update in the system. So I just wanna make sure there was a reason. Yes, ma'am?
How long does the background check take? I have
So-
two coaches that we have been waiting for their response for about a month or so.
So, assuming they came back under review somehow,
It doesn't tell me, it just says still.
so we should probably follow up with that, because the only reason it would take a while is if it came back under review, and then the state association has to actively go in and deal with that particular background check, and they might have to have, other people within the board get involved to decide whether or not they're gonna allow for whatever offense showed up to be,
Sometimes it's a typo, honestly.
and sometimes it is.
Yeah, and that's the state
And
still
a lot
has
of
to
them,
work with.
I had 3 and they were typos.
Yep.
Yeah, so in that case, if you're waiting that long, just to answer your question, it doesn't take a month, it shouldn't. So if you're waiting longer than, I would say, a week, contact Michelle and Dolores right away, don't wait a month.
Okay.
So what happens is when they process their, background checks, it gets submitted up to the state association for, myself, Dolores, and Michelle to submit to reference services. We knock those out within every other day, okay? So the longest they should be waiting at this point is 2 months, or two weeks. And then if they're cleared, then they'll come back cleared right away. If not, they get, flagged for any reason, then that's when it might take maybe a few more days just to get that cleared up. Okay? So touching more on what Kimberly said is that you have the option to admin enter your coaches if they've passed their background checks already. But if they have not registered at all, okay, if they've not gone through the system and cleared a background check, if you go in and admin enter your coaches, it'll look like they're in the system, because they are. However, we will not, as a software, we won't be able to run their background check. We'll have to get engineering involved to reject that application, and they would have to start over and walk through registration. There's no.
How do you admin enter them? That's my, cause like.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting
I
that.
them over here, but I need them in this other club.
You and I will work offline because I
Okay.
don't want to show you guys and just,
Okay, alright.
yeah, you guys don't need to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jen, yeah. Who? Oh, you,
Arizona United, yeah, cause we're not where some of these are.
oh, yeah, of course. That's fine. But yeah, Jen, you and I, you're a different circumstances, we'll work together. Okay? Same with RSL. Okay? Alright, so to publish your guys, question, sorry.
What if your coach right now does not have their social security number?
Tax ID.
Tax ID will
Yeah.
work? Okay.
It doesn't.
It does it?
No, it doesn't.
Can you write that down? Cause we'll have to reach out to reference services.
Cause he won't have his green card until the end of September.
Okay, in those cases, Michelle and Dolores is who you guys should contact. Cause we'll work with you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good questions. Alright, so once we configure the events, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into the website builder. Okay? Quick website builder. I'm just gonna delete this really quickly, sorry.
Sorry, can you
Go back. So I'm gonna click right here on website builder. Uh-huh. So once I click on website builder, okay, I'm gonna go to widgets. When I click on widgets, registration list is about 3 icons down. I click and drag it to the middle. The system's gonna tell me where I can drop it. It's gonna highlight in yellow. It's with the gray bars with yellow. Okay. And now I have the option to select my academy and my players.
It's not letting,
Yeah, it's not letting me.
You have to be enabled to do that. I discovered there's some place you have to go in and enable, like if you add other people to that, like a guy that I was working with couldn't do it, cause he has to be able to do it, so I forget where that is.
Jen, did you say you can't do it?
no, I won't be able to do it. And I'm working in my new club right now, so I'm trying to.
There's a button that says enable.
Kimberly, can you watch me, cause I'm gonna have you walk through the clubs and enable
Maybe
them.
it's in the account, if you go to.
Yeah.
the-
What club? Which one, the new one?
Barcelona AZ right now.
I know, cause I had to do that for some.
That's where I'm gonna move all of, for all of them.
So Barcelona AZ, and
Yeah.
what is the, sorry, what was the,
Just, no, I'm gonna have you check, if you can, walk through the clubs and make sure everyone has a website builder.
yep,
I think it's the total football AZ is the.
No access. Did you see that, Kimberly?
mhm,
So if you just go to admins, users,
enable website,
yeah, down at the bottom.
okay. You got it,
Do you have the list of the people here today?
no.
If you can, just work off of that list for now and then we'll do the rest of
Write
it.
your plug and your name down.
Alright, so if you have access, that's how you do it. We're gonna work through enabling everyone's access. So if you guys don't have access to the website builder, most of you guys should. If you guys were added late, then, and if you guys weren't part of the registrars that were uploaded into the system when we uploaded your guys' sites, chances
Some
are
of
you
them are
don't have
in here with
access to
just
that.
names.
So what we're gonna do, what Kimberly's gonna help me do is walk through each club and enable that website builder for you guys, okay?
So I'm passing around a piece of paper, I want your first and last name, your club name, please give me your initials just in case like GYSA was in there as GYSA, not Gilbert Youth, so. And then your email address, because some of them are entered in here with just name and an email address, and I need to update it if that's you, okay? Thanks.
Okay, so we configured the rest of our information for the events and we published it. Is there any questions before I start diving into managing player data? Do you guys feel comfortable? The ones that have not walked in, that has not been in the system, how do you guys feel logging in, checking out your guys' forms, updating your information on your event, and editing your categories? Do you guys feel pretty comfortable with that?
I have a question background check.
Yeah.
Can you see anywhere, like, the status?
Yeah, I'll show you how to run the report. Kathy's not here, but she said I could use her data, so I'm gonna use it. Alright, so that's a great question. Since we're gonna be diving into managing data, I'm just gonna be working in RSL anyways. Alright, so on the topic of coaches, if you want to review the status of your coaches, what I recommend is running a coach report. Okay? So they have a league out here, Anthem. Okay, I'm gonna jump in their competitive event. So I wanna highlight what event I want to pull that information for my coaches. Okay, so for me, I want to check out my Anthem competitive group. Okay, so I click on competitive. I come up to the top where it says reports, coaches, detail report. Okay, I'm gonna search for first name, last name. Again, you can put any information you want, but I'm just gonna keep it real simple. Do first name, last name, and I'm gonna come down here, and the field I want to pay attention to is RMA status. What I'm also gonna do, we can pull a report that'll give us that information just by running a report, but for me, I want to filter by status. So I'm gonna come down here where it says sort items. I'm gonna do RMA status. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna hit run report. We have one coach registered, he's not cleared. Is that right?
Probably for the
Okay, I'll run another report real quick.
Say go to Sal.
Yeah. We'll not run another one here, just so you can see what that data looks like. Again, first name, last name, RMA status. I'm gonna filter it by RMA statuses. Okay? We can also download this report. If we want to pull a report of coaches who are not cleared, and that's it, I'm going to do RMA, down here I'm going to filter items, RMA status equal to not cleared. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to run my report. Does that help? Awesome. Okay, so once again, that's in reports, coach, detail report.
And once you run that report, you guys can name it and save it, so you can reuse that report all the time, like, so you don't have to keep on rebuilding it. So just up there at the top where it says new, you would just name it and save it.
Well, it's on their system, I don't wanna.
Yep.
Okay? Any other questions on coaches?
What is a confirm and not confirm for?
That doesn't really apply to you guys. What ASA requires is if your players are AUD verified, and for your coaches if they're cleared. They don't really care about approvals or not approved.
Some of our states do though, so
Yeah.
they use the confirmed and not confirmed to determine some other factors that aren't automatically checked in our system.
Yeah.
So like we have one state that has what's called a Lindsay law, which is a sudden cardiac arrest requirement for all coaches to go through sudden cardiac arrest training and know how to operate an AED, for instance. And so that's one of the ways in which they use to determine whether or not their coaches have completed their AED training.
Alright.
So
I
to
didn't
give
know
you-
if it was something we could use to, cause it seems like anybody that goes in and fills out that they run the report, so then we get charged for it. I don't know if we could use that to confirm that they're an actual coach that we're using. I've had parents do kids through there and they're 10 years old and they've gotten cleared, so.
Well, let me take a look at something. So for your coaches, so for coaches, so what you can do is you can make it so that coaches are not auto-confirmed. What we do at the state is when we run the background checks, we're only running background checks on confirmed coaches. So if you have a coach, if you don't want all your coaches' background checks ran yet, you could switch auto-confirmation to off. And that will essentially, keep in mind that you'll have to go in there one at a time to each coach and confirm them before we at the state, Dolores, Michelle, and I run their background checks. So to confirm them, so if you choose to set auto confirmation to off, so your coaches when they register, their applications will be ready to be ran. However, when we go in, we're only filtering by confirmed coaches. So when they submit their application, they're set to not confirm. So what you would need to do is go in and click, so let's say for your competitive coaches, you wanna find all your competitive coaches. You'd click find, coach, and you'd have to come in here one at a time and confirm them. And just by clicking confirm and update status. Okay, same with your players. If your players are not confirmed, you can't roster them to a team. So if you know a player is in the system, and you're trying to roster a player, and that player is not available for you to roster, search for that player, take a look at their financials, because in their financials it will display whether they're confirmed or not confirmed. Did you have a question?
So real quick, on the instant background check, if you click on that and say yes.
It's
then-
not instant. It has tied into something completely different.
Okay, so
So-
should we leave it off then?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
So the paper, that has the club name and stuff, thank you.
Oh, was that, was it?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't? Oh.
You don't have to mark it, I was back in.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So now that you created your event, configured it, published it, players are gonna start registering. So if you wanna take a look at who's registering, one thing to keep in mind is that the system runs on tiers. What you have selected is where it's going to, yes, question.
I'm sorry, dumb question, you keep saying publish it, was there like a button or something that you do to make sure that?
Yeah, I think we got a little sidetracked here. Yeah, so once I added the widget to my homepage, so do you remember that process? I could delete it and start over.
Well, my screen doesn't look like that, but it has a bunch of register now things listed, so does that mean it's published already, or?
No.
Well, is your homepage right here where it says home, is it red or blue?
My home is red.
Red. Your home is red, that means that you made edits but have not published it. To publish, there's a publish button right here at the top.
Right.
Right here?
No, right, yeah, the one,
Interesting. No, you should just be able to publish it. I'm not sure what that's it, but. Really? We'll take a look.
But it's.
What's going on?
It's blue now, so I don't know.
We're getting a revert message.
If I'm black, what do we wanna be, red or black?
You have black? Sorry, it's still not mine.
So if you didn't make any changes, they're not letting you publish, is that what you're saying?
Let's grade out, I don't wanna publish that, cause I don't know.
What's your, I'm sorry, say that again.
Okay, so it just like needs to be refreshed or something? Yeah. So you go through and change the air that's on the light.
And what's your name again?
I'm talking about the page,
That's what you did.
So what do I need to do, just hit publish?
Yeah, you just forget what it is.
What changes did you make?
She asked me, so I can get in.
Drag and drop it over here. It's just to mess around, you can always take it off here. There you go. So,
You actually don't have access to publish it, that's
when I
why.
highlight in yellow, that way you just.
Okay, refresh your screen.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you scroll down,
Whatever you want to turn on.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yep, exactly.
add in, she must have deleted that is the person you're gonna send to all your
I gave you full access.
Then you want to work back on the site, when you're sampling.
Let me just double
You're not
check
ready
it.
to go.
Okay. You're welcome.
Do you have?
Anybody else should have that access?
Well, not.
Do you have access to yours? Okay. Is that paper still making its way around?
Yeah, got it.
Perfect.
Okay, got it. Did we get back? Oh, okay.
Does it work?
Did I use it? I'm glad I had your email.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so we're gonna jump back into managing player data. Okay? So once you guys have your site up and running, you're gonna start getting players and coaches registering. Okay? So again, keep in mind that whatever you are clicked on is what you will be searching in and pulling reports and so forth. So if I'm in RSL South folder, and I click find, I'm only gonna find coaches, participants, teams in this folder. I'm not gonna get any of my Anthem, I'm not gonna get any of my RSL Southern Arizona players and coaches and so forth, or my Yuma. If I want to search for everybody, I'm gonna select the top shield. If I click find, it's gonna allow me to search for all coaches under this shield. So in this site. Same with reporting options. If I wanna just come in here and look for my coaches and pull that report, I wanna make sure I'm selected on the event. Okay, and then run the report.
So is there a reason why, like I'll go to the club and do a search for mine, and like I can't even find myself, it won't pull me. There's,
Are you registered as a coach?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you have your, sometimes when that happens, what I've noticed is when I go to find, there's sometimes filters in here that you don't realize that are on when you try searching.
Sorry?
So if you have trouble finding a coach or yourself, make sure that there's no filters that are populated. Okay? Okay. Within this section, so here are my coaches. If I want to take a look at my participants, I'm gonna have a list of all my participants. We can change the page settings to 200. We can add any filters that we need. If you guys require photos, and you wanna see who does not have a photo, you can search for no member photo. And it'll bring up any players who do not have photos.
Question. Photo question. So, is there any way, the answer's probably no, but I hope you guys are gonna change this. If you're aware on Got Soccer, the team managers had a page, they could upload all the photos for all the kids at the same time. Because it's hard to chase down parents for the correct photo, not in front of the goal and so forth. So is there any way that I can give managers access to just their team so that they can upload photos? Because that is where, I'm ready to print passes, we're ready to go, but we have no photos. And trying to, I'm not gonna do it all, and trying to get the parents to do it is like.
Yeah, so we have something called Team Connect.
Yeah, I know, but so Team Connect, my managers, I've enabled it for the managers and the coaches to see who's got a photo and who doesn't. So what I see right now is that what they've registered with talks this way to Team Connect, but it doesn't go back this way, because I've already had coaches upload, because I thought it did, and I had them upload all the photos, and lo and behold, they don't talk back this way.
Yeah, so that's something new, so it's an enhancement that was already done so that it does connect to club and league. We are kind of in a interesting phase right now. Stack team.
Now, the jersey numbers do.
Sure.
The jersey numbers did.
So there's so the way eventually yes. Right now
we have a brand new app
Yeah.
that's coming out. It's like literally done, and it's just being, the tweaks are being done on it to make sure things like what you're experiencing right now aren't happening. So it's supposed to have been released August 1st, but we found some things that we need to fix. So September 1st is the target date right now. I know. I know. I feel you and I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that it's not going to be ready before then.
But it's coming.
It's
Yes.
coming.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, and it'll be available in all app stores, so Google, Android, iOS. You can just look for Stack Team. Right now, of course, Team Connect is in there.
But
So you-
but on a regular laptop computer, will my managers be able to log on to that
Yes.
Team
Yes.
Connect just normally and
Yes,
be able
because
to
you can
upload
do that
photos?
now. You can log into Team Connect now on a laptop computer.
No, I know. I I was under the impression that we could already do that till I found out that you
Yeah.
couldn't, so.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yay.
So right now, players have to go on and upload their own picture?
Yes, or you do. And you know, the problem is though, they get the wrong size and you get a little tiny icon on Team Connect and
Yeah.
they're just like, what's that for? Well, it's too small.
Yep.
And so that is the struggle that we're having now. And
So
so we're
they
gonna
all have to
probably.
send them to you and then you upload everybody's pictures and have
Well,
to
I've
figure
done
out?
that, a couple of that, but I've just told the managers, pester the parents, because they can look on Team Connect to see who has a photo.
Okay.
And, although, let me ask you this, once the parent does update that photo, does it talk back to Team Connect? Because, how long does that take? Because,
It's instant.
is it, because I
Yes,
have
I
one.
tested it just a few days ago.
Then I need to show you that, because I've got one that, the perfect photo on Stack after she redid it, and I call Stack what we're using.
Right.
Mhm.
But on Team Connect, it's not the updated photo, so I was like,
Who,
I need-
well, did someone upload the photo on Team Connect already?
No, no.
There's
only
no
the
photo
manager-
on Team Connect?
No, nobody's got access to Team Connect but the manager.
Right, did the manager in Team Connect upload the photo for that player?
Nope, the player did it. The player
In
did it on.
Team Connect?
the
No,
player-
on
no,
their
'cause they
account,
don't
okay.
have access. The player did it on their original registration, not an appropriate photo. Asked to redo it again because the manager saw it on Team Connect and it was not right, so she said do it again. Perfectly fine, but it's not showing up on Team Connect, so the manager thinks she hasn't done it, so that was my question. I'll
Okay,
check
we
again.
can take a look at that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mine has to do with uploading birth certificates. And photos. Sometimes our players, the parents will upload it, they can't see it once they've uploaded it.
What do they see?
They don't see anything on our end.
Right, so when they upload it and they can't see, are they seeing an error message, are they seeing a blank screen, are they seeing a black screen?
I don't understand.
You don't know?
I've been tons of emails saying that they sent me, they uploaded it, but they don't know if it worked. So they're sending it to me, to my
Okay.
emails. And I've already,
Can you send me an example of that? Can you send me an example of that?
yeah, and I've talked to them, but it's still,
You know where they upload their photo successfully,
Yeah.
then they upload their birth certificate and their photo disappears.
yeah, I have that too.
They reach out to tax force and they get no help.
Yeah.
So, while we're on the subject of birth certificates really quick, I just wanna talk about a best practice with birth certificates. And you guys may boo me off the stage for this, and that's okay. But birth certificates, I know a lot of parents will say, well, I don't wanna upload my birth certificate into the system, but they'll be happy to email you or text you their birth certificate. So just as an encouragement to you guys, we are PII, PCI, and COPA compliant, and we have document encryption. We're tier 1 level status of security, which is the highest that you can get. So my encouragement to you would be, as a best practice, is if a parent says they don't want to upload their birth certificate, is then you put the onus on them that they need to come to you and show it to you in person. If they email you their birth certificate or text you their birth certificate and you get hacked, you are liable for what happens to their identity. So I don't want to, as a former registrar myself, I always told the parents, and this was way before we even had, this kind of stuff, do not give me a copy of your birth certificate. And from personal experience as a parent, I was one of those parents whose kids did competitive soccer. I had to give a copy of the birth certificate every year, 6 years over. And when my son turned 16, my youngest son, we went to go open a bank account, gave him a social security number, and he said, this isn't you. And we said, yes, it is, and showed him the social security card. Lo and behold, he had 6 bank accounts opened in his name that were not him. So it took us 3 years. He just turned 18 this past Saturday, and we just got it cleared up. So those birth certificates, if you're storing them in your car, you're storing them in your home, they're in a lockbox inside of a filing cabinet in your house, you have no reason to keep those. I would really highly encourage you, shred them immediately. You have 48 hours if anybody ever questions the validity of the person who's in front of them on the field. You have 48 hours to produce an original birth certificate, at which point you can go to the parent and say, hey, I need your original birth certificate so that we can produce it to this competition who's challenging your child's age. The only other time you need them is at State Cup check-in. But that's this many teams versus this many teams whose birth certificates you're holding on to. So just an encouragement, and I don't know how many of you watched the news 2 nights ago, but there was a football league right here in Arizona and the poor registrar brought all the birth certificates to this soccer field to get parents' signatures and to return them, and they were stolen out of her minivan before she got a chance to, along with $3,500 that was supposed to pay for uniforms. She was a hysterical mess on the news, and I felt so bad for her. Yes, Jen?
So I'm noticing a couple players I do have registered, they're not verified. Does that mean they still need to upload a picture
No.
and birth certificate?
ASA does not require uploads to be, or birth docs to be uploaded. They just require you to verify it, whether it's verifying it on the computer or because they upload it in our system, or in person and just, you looked at it. So
You're
they don't
testing.
have
How do
to-
I check it so that it knows?
Well, we're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
So yes, they don't have to upload it, but please don't let them email you or text you, because then you become liable.
Yeah, if you're not
And-
gonna upload it onto a secure site, texting and email's not very secure at all. At least our system's secure.
And I'm just sharing with you national best practice. US Soccer, has come down on people and said, we don't want birth certificates being shown. We don't want copies of birth certificates. US Youth Soccer has said the same exact thing. Leslie can attest to that.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because when we check into tournaments,
And,
they require us to bring.
and
a birth
Dolores
certificate
and
copy.
Michelle wanna know if you have a tournament that's in this state that is requiring you to show a birth certificate, they wanna know about it, because they wanna
They
deal with
all
those
do.
people.
No,
No,
they don't.
Only state captain and
Yeah,
president.
my husband's tournaments did not.
Yeah, and cause that's another thing that came down from US Soccer a long time ago was we don't want birth certificates floating around out there. Especially now when we just learned last night by Pat Dunham, who's one of the board members, said she talked to the police department out there in Tucson, and the going rate for a birth certificate on the street right now is $1,500. So you can imagine those 1,500 birth certificates that were stolen out of that poor lady's car the other day, they're worth $1,500 a piece. So we're all in the wrong business. So anyway, I'm just sharing best practice with you. So do with it what you want. Boo at me, it's okay. But if you guys would like to, follow through with that, sharing the level of security of our system with those parents who kind of squawk at uploading their birth certificates, the only other option should be for you guys to say, okay, then bring it to me physically so I can see it.
And then we can
And then you can mark
verify
it,
on that.
Yeah.
and Taylor's
We'll
gonna show
jump
you.
into that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor's gonna show you how, and some of you are using third-party systems to verify your birth certificates, and that's fine, so you're just gonna come in and click everybody and say, yep, I verified everybody. So you just have to make sure they're verified in the system so that,
By marking them verified, that's just letting us know, and the state know that you verified it in some way. Again, they don't require that you guys upload it, they just wanna know that it's been verified.
So then why is it
Email
part of?
everybody from that screen? Can you email everybody from that screen?
Yeah, I don't think so, not from
Okay.
this screen, no.
Only if you run.
So then why is it part of the registration that we upload?
It's not required, they can skip, bypass it.
Take that off of the
We
registration?
can't take it out, that's an enhancement that we're currently actively working on. So the enhancement we're working on is to, allow clubs to either hide it, show it, or require it. It shows, but they can easily bypass it. Yeah. Okay? So, real quick, we're gonna touch on this screen right here. So this is the find participant screen. Okay, I just clicked on the event, went up to find, and I pulled up my players. Real quick on this screen, it's gonna list all your players. Again, you can search by any of your filters here. If you scroll to the far right, okay, it's gonna show you here a few icons. Right here is the $sign. This is to edit their financials. This is also where you can confirm and reject your players. So again, if a player has registered and you can't find them for whatever reason, the very first thing that I recommend doing is making sure that that player is confirmed. Because if the player's not confirmed, you can't roster them. Okay?
So we'll have to go into every single person.
If you don't have auto confirmation on, then yes.
How do I turn auto?
How to turn auto
Alright, go back under, I remember, I got it.
You remember? Okay, cool. Alright. This is also where you reject a player. So let's say that a player registers and for whatever reason they're not going to be playing with your organization anymore. You can come in here and reject them. What that will do, that will then at that point reject that player so that you're no longer being billed for that player by ASA. here, you're gonna see is a red symbol. That's telling me that the member is not verified. Okay? If the member was verified, it would be a green circle with a check in it, with a check mark. Okay? Moving to the right, this is the member photo. I'm not too sure why the icons aren't here. But for the member photo, if there's an icon that has an arrow pointing up, that means the player has not uploaded a photo. If there is a, if there is a photo, you're going to see a camera icon. Okay? Birth certificates, if there's no birth certificate, you're going to get the same icon with an arrow pointing up. If there is a birth certificate, you're going to get this little icon here. Okay? Alright, so the next thing that we're going to want to do is we want to make sure that our players are age ID verified. You can roster players without them being verified, but you can't activate a team until that player is verified. So you can roster your players and then verify them. It doesn't matter, but I'm just going to show you right now how to verify your players when they come in. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to log in. Kathy, I'm going to log in as you.
Do you remember what menu auto-confirm is in, by the way?
What's that?
Do you remember what menu auto-confirm?
Yeah, so you click on the event, click
On the
registrants,
event.
yep,
Event registrants.
and then edit event name and settings.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm logged in as a registrar. I'm logged in as Kathy. Okay, for ourselves. If I want to start age ID verify my players, what I'm going to want to do is go to Tools, go to Association Connect. So everyone in here is going to need to do this, whether you're importing, whether you're admin entering, whether you're having your players walk through registration. Everyone in here will need to do this at some point. Tools, go to Association Connect. Okay? When I do that, it's going to take me up to the association. Maybe.
I think it's, let's see.
There you go. Alright, on this screen you're going to notice that you have your contact information, your club information. Right here is your US Soccer Competition ID number. You have your website, and then, contact information. You have your board members listed here, and you have your statistics. RSL has 1,538 players confirmed, 236 coaches confirmed, and 137 active teams. They are ahead of the game. Alright, so you're going to notice here that you have additional tabs. You guys do not, getting old. You guys do not have access to these tabs. You're going to click players, you don't have access. Coaches do not have access. Teams do not have access. Do not be alarmed. The only thing you guys have access here at the association level is to verify your players. So what you're going to want to do is click players at the top, click age ID verification. Okay. In this screen, you're going to see here that we have populated filters ready in here for you guys. So, what this means is we included a filter that says, show me only players who have birth certificates uploaded. If you guys do not require birth certificates, I recommend getting rid of this right away. Kathy, do you guys require birth certificates?
We do.
Okay, so if you notice here, I have 406 players. I'm going to switch this to 2,200 per page. If you notice here, I have 406 results. Because it looks like some players did upload birth certificates. If I close out of that,
Can you remind me real quick, sorry, let's fix something else, how you got there real quick, just tell me the thing we'll get.
Tools,
Tools, okay.
go to association.
So if somebody can't get to association because they don't have,
Dolores Michelle.
Okay.
Dolores and Michelle, they're the ones that wanna control who,
We just need to email.
give them permission, yeah. Okay, so if you notice, when I took out, uploaded birth docs, now I have 1,233 players, okay? And that's only showing me players who are not verified. What I recommend if you are uploading birth docs and you want to verify them on the system, in the system, what I recommend is moving over each field here, because what you can do is essentially preview the birth docs as well as upload birth docs on the same screen. Let's say that this player, Junior, is not actually Junior on his birth doc. I can come in here and edit that and erase it, and it'll update in the club and league. Same with birth date, first name, last name, association ID number. Okay? Now if I want to verify any players, I can verify them all at once, all 200, or I can verify one at a time. Now keep in mind, you notice here that she has 1,233 results. As soon as I hit update status and verify, those players will then move to the verified section. So if I keep this verified in here, those will fall off of my results, and I can just keep doing it as I verify them. So when I verify them, these players will go out of this filter search, then the next 200 will come up, and so forth. So all you're doing is you're moving quickly along here, update status, verify, and then update status again and verify, getting through all those 1,233 players. Any questions on verification? So again, to verify a player, click on their name, update status, verify. Any questions? Again, everyone in this room will eventually have to do this.
I have a question.
What if I cannot get into the system?
Then email Michelle and Dolores letting them know that you need access. Yes.
So I
Monica.
uploaded the birth certificate, they've uploaded it, but I can't open it up, and it won't let me open up another tab. So,
What are you clicking on?
so this is the, and it's not, like, this is all it's bringing up, and usually, like, you can open an image in your tab, it's not allowing me to. And this happens a lot.
Scroll down.
And I can't scroll over. Oh, I just did it.
Real fast, this association ID, that's for their like account, or is that
That's
what's gonna be
a
printed?
stack. No, what's being
Okay.
printed is the US Soccer Connect ID.
Okay.
And I'm gonna show you guys a pretty cool report that you guys can run to help you get that information about soccer. Okay, so that's HID verifying your players. Again, any questions? Very important. Everyone in here is gonna have to do it. Nope. Awesome. Okay. So that's the only thing you guys are gonna do at the association level. Okay, is verify your players. And the cool thing about this is it also opens up when you go to the association. It opens up a completely new tab. So if for whatever reason you do need to go back to club and league, that tab is still saved within the same browser. You can easily move back and forth. Okay. So moving back into club and league, now that we've verified our players, what we're ready to do now is create our teams. Okay? Kathy, do you mind if I work in your junk folder?
Oh, please, help yourself.
Okay. All right. So now the next thing we're gonna do. So let's say that we're gonna work in our academy program event. Okay. So when I click on academy,
There's actually one of your guys that bring up.
okay,
Make a jump folder.
you guys are going to notice that when I click on academy, I click the arrow button. You're gonna see a coach pool. Okay. Okay, so when I click on the academy and I see coach pool, I'm going to want to click below, my coach pool, and it's going to now bring me my folders. Okay, is that make sense to everybody? Okay, so each event, we created coach pools. Okay, what a coach pool essentially allows you to do for your coaches, it allows them to register. So in our system, for players, they need to register. If they play, well, not for Arizona because you guys don't allow multi-roster players. But if a player needs to be on multiple teams in different categories, they would need to register to each category. So same thing for coaches. If we didn't create a coach pool, that coach pool was not there, they would need to register to, if they're coaching U7s and U8s and U9s, they would have to register to U7s, 8s, and 9s. So they'd need essentially 3 applications. Creating the coach pool and putting the folders, the categories under the coach pool allows your coaches to only register once, but to allow you to assign them to any team in the event, any category. Okay?
So if they're gonna coach an academy and competitive, they have to apply for it.
They have to apply, yeah. It doesn't follow the same events.
But you can move them. I just discovered that last night.
Yeah, but you're gonna move them away from competitive.
The other one, they have to do both.
It stayed in both places.
Did you copy them or move them?
No, I just, you know how I reassigned it?
Mhm.
I just reassigned it.
And they're still assigned to the.
Well, I didn't assign it to one place, but they registered in that category and I moved them to the.
Yeah, she's saying if they need to coach in both competitive and academy.
I'm gonna look, cause I think they stayed in both places. It was
Yeah,
in
let's
the
take a
center,
look.
so Let me check.
Okay,
Yeah, mine
I was happy about
had register them both.
perfect.
So did I.
Okay, so what we're gonna want to do. So let's say I want to create a team for U8 boys. What I need to do is then drop down the U8 boys folder, or U8 folder, and click on boys. Okay, this part's really important. Some people are creating teams, random places in the event or random places in their site. When you're ready to create a team, you need to go down to the folder and gender, and click on the gender. Have that highlighted. Because when we click add team, and I hit create, it creates the team below what I have selected.
Okay, so the teams are actually created in the coach pool, not under like the academy heading?
No, because if we put all categories below coach pool because our system works so whatever the highest level they're registered to, if we put them below that pool, it's gonna allow that coach, because they're at the highest level, to be rostered to any categories below them. So this is what your event looks like. So when you take a look at academy, you're just gonna see a coach pool. If you drop this down, then you're gonna see all your folders, your categories.
So, for academy, each team has only got I think a roster of a minimum of 8. But we have like 20 for each age group. So how do we do?
Yeah, so Michelle and Dolores are gonna walk through the rule setups, and we're gonna change the max to 999.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I can just leave the teams as.
Oh wait, for academy, are you talking about academy or recreational?
For academy.
For academy, are you guys producing player cards for academy?
I believe so. They asked us to last year.
And you need to roster more than 8, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, for academy, they go by player pools and then just divide them up at each
Okay.
event.
Are they all gonna produce player cards?
Yes, well, cause any tournament event they would go to, they would then need a
What would be
pass.
what was the max last year?
It was unlimited.
For academy?
it's
Yeah. Because you could,
You could put over 20 in there.
Okay. So in that point, with that, what we're doing is for recreational, we're gonna open that up so you can put in 999 on a single team, or 99 on a single team. And then just only put players on teams that you need player passes for. For academy, I thought that was just for recreational. For academy, I'll have to talk to Michelle and Dolores. We might just open that up to 999 for them as well. I'm not sure what their plan is on that.
So for recreational, because I've always done just one lump for our entire recreational season. So we've had thousands in one group. So will I not be able to do that anymore?
For recreational?
Yeah.
Do you need print player passes?
No.
Then you can just have them register, that's it. You don't need to do anything else with them.
Perfect.
Yeah. So her question is for recreational, mine, working with Arizona, that you guys were essentially allowed to just have them register into a pool and just have one large group. If you guys are not printing player passes, you don't need to assign those players. They can just register into your sites, make sure the auto confirmation is set to yes, and then they're just automatically going to flow up to ASA. The only reason why you need to roster your players is if they need to produce player passes. And if they don't, then just have them register and you're done with them. Okay? Okay, so now that I created my team, once I click on the team and I scroll down, you're gonna notice here, here is my team ID number, here is my program type, gender and age group, and it's gonna list the team as not approved. Okay? Here is where you can enable Team Connect. Again, that will eventually be Stack Team, or Team Stack. You can enable it for coaches only or for everyone. You can also disable it if you have it turned on. Then you'd hit update. Here, once you have all your players and coaches assigned and you're ready to activate your team, this is where you're going to hit request team activation. If your team passes all activation rules set by the state, your team will automatically be activated. And that will then allow you to print player passes and player rosters, as well as coach passes. If they do not, the system will prompt a sign or an error message that will display what errors occurred and why you were not automatically approved. Okay? The main blockers as to why you might not be approved is if you do not have a coach rostered. Keep in mind you can't roster a coach until they pass a background check. The other one is if you have a member on the team who is not age ID verified.
I know if we have a manager that's cleared, are we able to print as long as one?
Yeah, as long as someone on there as an admin is cleared.
Okay.
And you can't roster a player or a coach who's not cleared anyway, so yeah. Okay. Okay. So now to assign a participant, once I'm clicked on the team, I come up here and click assign participant. And I don't have anyone available. Let's try to jump into a team that has one available.
I see you have a transfer to this team. That function isn't available in my.
It's not available?
No.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. I'm gonna try stop. Alright, so I'm on a team, and let's say I'm ready to start assigning players. Okay? I'm gonna go to assign participant. Here are my players that are already assigned, and here are my available players. Okay? If I want to assign a player, I'm just gonna click on him. I can assign more than one at a time by just keeping the left button down and clicking control. Highlights everybody. Let's say I just want to move Jackson over. Drag and drop him over.
And if they don't drag and drop, I've been having, a couple of them are stuck. Is there a reason for that? Because I don't have any idea why they just wouldn't go.
They want to go?
And you just have to cancel it.
Cancel it and start?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, there's another way to assign them that, like the register category, and then you can just drop them onto that team. But that doesn't get them to Team Connect.
Wait, are you talking about having like the team as a category? Is that what you said?
No, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wondered why they would drag them.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take. What browser are you using? Also,
Chrome.
I'll use Chrome. That should be fine. Yes, Jen.
So Taylor, I'm not sure, I'm showing, for example, my daughter, I'm showing her as verified, but she's not showing up on that list to assign her into a team, although her teammate who's not verified is the only one showing up to that team.
Try to find her and take a look at her financials to see if she's confirmed. Oh, it's a test. We just went over it. I can show you. So click on the event. Click find. Pull her up, and then click on the $sign next to her name. click on participant, on that page.
Oh, participant,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's okay. And then click on the $sign.
Dollar sign, cause she's got a green check mark, not a minus sign, oh, yeah.
Is she
that's the
confirmed?
thing. Well, no.
Oh yeah, confirm her and then you should be able to sign it. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Easy fix, we like it. Alright, so, any questions on assigning a participant? Go to the team, click assign participant. Okay? Same with coaches.
Oh, I have a question.
Yep.
So if we move them, say that we've notified them, move them over and notify them. However, we wanna set, we have enough players on the assigned participants to submit, to activate that team. But some of the players haven't gone and registered or signed up or made a payment, so they don't count. They're not fully registered because they haven't made a payment. So if I move them back over to the other side, so I can submit, so I can activate that team, does it still leave it open for them? Does it cancel all their fees? Or
No, oh no.
so they can still go and make payment and stuff from the available participant and do everything there, and then I can move over and then cancel everything out.
No payments, we don't ever cancel any payments.
Like once I notify them, they're still available to go back into their account.
Yeah, they can just go to member login, log in, and make any fee. The show pay now button
I
at the
just
very
know
bottom.
I can move it back over and it would still be,
Okay, any questions on how to assign coaches and players? How to create a team? Nope?
Ask about the confirm thing, you're getting out of me.
No, it's okay, you're fine.
Sylvie, when we went to tools and we went to the big.
Association.
Yeah, I thought I was confirming everybody.
You're
I was
verifying them,
verifying.
yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go into everybody's dollar sign, all of my hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, after I get them reported. And
One setting for it, we have auto
what am I verifying?
Good.
Financials?
Confirming them into the club. Yes.
I would love to, yeah, we'll talk after, wait, of course.
What's that?
There's no way to mass confirm them. I'm happy to tell you.
There is a way or isn't a way? To mass confirm? So, which one, how do you mass
So
confirm?
when you, like when you're, like in the academy tab and then register,
Uh-huh.
and then confirm players.
Where?
The confirm players, on the right hand side. Yeah, and then hit submit page and it brings up
Oh,
everybody
yeah,
who's
yeah.
not confirmed.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Jen. Okay, so one last thing, you guys. This is gonna help you by when you want to fill out your Got Soccer applications for your team. So it's pretty important as well. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to pull a report to pull up all your team IDs that you need to enter for those applications, and then I'm gonna show you a report that you can pull to pull up all your player IDs that you need to add as well. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pull a report for team IDs. Okay. If I'm RSL South, then I will pull all my team IDs. And if you guys didn't notice, there was a bug in the association, not the association, but reporting, as well as when you printed your player passes, that printed the wrong team ID number. That's been fixed. Okay, so now we can pull a report so that you guys can easily pull all the team IDs that you need to submit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the event that I want to pull the report from. Okay, so again, I'm gonna click on RSL South Competitive. I'm gonna come up to reports. I'm gonna go to folders and teams. I'm gonna click folder and team list.
What did you click on? Sorry.
What were you, yeah. So reports.
Folder and teams. Folder and teams.
Yeah. Raymond. Okay, so when I pull this report, it's gonna pull a report that I can download into Excel. But what it does is it gives me the team ID number here tied to the team. What you can also do, okay? What you can also do is pull the report at the age level, as well as the gender level. Okay, so if I just want to pull my U7 teams, let's come down here. We'll do U13s. Folder and team list. And then it will give me all of my U13s. So you can pull this report at an age group level. Or team level, yeah.
All I'm getting is the name of the team, I'm not getting the detail of our roster.
Yeah, all you're getting, this report is just to help you get the team name and team ID to help you submit it. To Got Soccer.
Just the team ID?
Yeah.
Okay, got it, okay.
Okay, so now after you submit your team IDs, you'll then need to go in and fix your player IDs, right? So the best way to pull a report to do that is by going to Reports, Participant, Detail Report. Yeah. That's what most people are doing, is having the coaches do it. But Kim at Tucson FC, she's doing it for all her players. You're doing it? Okay, then you're gonna like this report. So report, participant, detail report. Okay? When I click on that, it's gonna allow me to run a report or create a report. I'm gonna do first name, last name. I'm gonna do birth date. And then I'll probably do team ID number. Where's it at?
Team number?
Yeah, did you see it? Did I miss it?
Can I just print these off and put them with our passes and
There it is. So I do team number. And then the one that I want to look for is US Soccer Connect ID. And then I'm going to sort it by team number, so that it gives me a list of players by team. Okay?
Can we do these for individual teams?
You could if you go to the team, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I recommend if you're going to do it for all your teams, just do it all at once.
Yeah, but I wanna give them to the manager so they can.
Yeah, so watch, you'll see what it pulls.
Okay.
You're gonna want to do it all at once so that you can download it and shoot it off to your players or to your coaches. So now when I run the report, this is what it gives me. Again, you could download this list as well.
And why are you doing, what is this for? Sorry.
For I think it's mostly competitive players that for Got Soccer they have to go into the application and update the team IDs.
Coming right now to talk about it.
Oh, that puts it all in one big report. Everybody understands. Like it doesn't break it down by team, so I can do more.
Again, so the team number.
I got it. I wanna give like one piece of paper with 14 players that are in one.
So what
team.
I would recommend is
Just go on the team,
downloading
print
it
off.
downloading it to Excel, copy it, and shoot them off for this team, for team number 133023, whoever that team coach is. I'd recommend just downloading it, copying that information, and just shooting it off in an email to that coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. What did you put over there then to just?
Yeah.
So I've got the US Soccer Connect ID team number.
I did. So first, you can make it whatever is more helpful for you. But what I recommend is first name, last name,
Okay.
birth date, team number, and then US Soccer Connect ID. And then I sort the items by team number. Yeah.
I didn't know you had a bug. So our team number, we already printed a lot of our cards with our team number was like a 1 and then like 6.
Yeah.
So we have to redo that.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep, you do.
Yep, you do. It's one paper before you go.
Did, some of the players are still going secondary, has that been fixed?
They ran another the script. When did you check last?
Yesterday I saw it.
Yesterday. If there's anyone else that came in secondary, I'll go ahead and change those today.
Alright, it's in your 400 emails.
Awesome. I'll get to it. Well, if they're going away for tournaments, just let me know right now.
This weekend, yeah, no, they're going
No,
this
okay.
weekend, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I've been sick and
No,
then
you're
traveling,
fine.
trying to catch up, guys, I'm sorry.
Derek's on the phone, so if you wanna go ahead and start with your questions or whatever.
Yeah,
Until he's ready.
yeah, now is your guys' time to ask questions, you guys done a pretty good job at that already, but now here's your floor.
The roster, you just, any roster comes up with the ID, right, with the US Connect ID, like the admin roster?
Okay, so the rosters right now are printing off, association ID, we're having that change to Connect, but what's being printed on passes is the Soccer Connect ID.
Okay, so the roster that the ID that I'm looking at on admin roster is the incorrect ID. Okay, thanks.
Can you make note of that?
ID number
You tell me. What's that? Oh, you're next.
What if it says ID pending?
ID pending meaning, for the player?
Yes.
That means that they got flagged somewhere from when it went up to the NDC, and so they have to review it. It could be just a duplicate in the system.
How do you get
How do we fix that? How do we find out?
How long will it take to get fixed?
It's up to the NDC. They go in there and they review it manually.
So do you have a duplicate?
It could be a duplicate. That's just one of the
I know
ways
I
that I've seen. You do.
So, and one of them has an ID and the other one has an ID. So how do I?
So if one of them has an ID, I recommend keeping that one, and then the one that's pending. See, I don't know if we were to merge them, where they both come up pending.
I would contact US Soccer. Or your state association.
Yeah.
Contact your state association first and let them see if they need to contact US Soccer, cause the process is new for everybody, right? So we've gotta figure out what the process should be in a situation like that, and they should probably be the ones to do that. Yep.
Jen?
So I need to move a player up. How would I do that?
So click on the player.
Okay, I did a find and I
You
found
did
her.
fine. Click on the player, and then there's a re-register button.
And I'm in there right now, so see, but then where do I go?
Then it's gonna ask you to select the event. There's a drop down. Yeah.
When you re-register them, they don't show up in Team Connect. So, that I have found, because I was doing that shortcut. I was re-registering some players just because it was easier for me to assign them to a team that way rather than go to the team, do the drop down and assign participant. And come to find out they don't show up in Team Connect, so I have to, do you know why that is? I thought it was being so clever, just because it was quicker for me to do it that way, but they.
So when you register to the event, to the new category,
Why is it showing?
I'll have to troubleshoot that
They're all
one.
the way, their path goes all the way here, and then it goes to the team. And I was just re-registering.
Try disabling Team Connect and enabling it when that player's on. I'm not sure if that'll work, but maybe just try that.
I was
Yeah.
trying to save myself more, and it turned out to be more, but I just was like, oh.
Sure. Fix what? Yes, Jen? No, you're fine. You're good.
Okay, so I'm looking at my team right now. I've only got 5 signed up. They're my guinea pigs.
Yeah.
2 of them have the green checks, the other 4 have the red, whatever. I thought that's where I went into tools and did my
Yeah.
verification.
Did you
But-
verify all of them?
Did you
Well, they're not
update it?
showing up in there, so if I go
Make
to-
sure that you get rid of the filters.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going there now. So they're not, I don't have
So
any.
close out of the filters you have.
She's not showing up there, Courtney Barnett.
Do you add filters? Add not verified.
I did try that, see, I'm not.
try to pull up the picture for them, it says there's nothing, that I can't even open his picture.
We had one like that yesterday. Let me see, Taylor had to deal with that with her development department, so let me see who's the kid. Let me see if I can name him.
And I sent this to Taylor too. So when I do that, it just says there was an error retrieving this file.
Your RSL Arizona handicap?
No, it's just under South, RSL is South, it's in the South file.
Jen, how do you spell your last name? What's your email address?
His first name is Walker.
Which is, what, this one?
Yeah. These are the pictures of these kids. I got Montessori new ones. First she sent me half naked ones. I'm like, could you please put clothes on that? Like, why did they send you?
Alright, check your email, Jen. Or log out, log back in.
You want me to log back in?
In Barcelona, yeah.
But this one, I've never had it done for me. I like to it. But now, I can just try another picture on each second one. I didn't go straight. Hello, Brian. Good morning.
Where do you want me to go now?
Try going to the association, I'm looking for.
Okay, so are you ready?
Sure.
Excellent.
Just like yesterday?
Yep.
Okay. Winging it.
All right.
Yeah, they're there.
Perfect.
Good? Jen, you good? You sure? Okay,
You did something right.
for those of you who don't know me, my name's Derek Yen. What is she doing here?
Actually, right now, I'm not really sure.
Shouldn't you be teaching the class? I'm responsible for all the leagues, and what I want to try to explain to you today is some of what ties into the leagues through AYSA, but realistically it also ties into all of your clubs because you're going to be entering tournaments that are using GOT Soccer. And so I want to kind of explain that whole dynamic. So as I go, please feel free to ask questions. I don't have a script by any means. I'm not sure. Could I share? Come on. On our website, I put some information out there. I've been trying to send weekly or bi-weekly emails to all the clubs, and it's in general going to club registrars, presidents, DOCs. Keep in mind that in the past, all of that communication went through GOT Soccer. So all the data that you put as your admin and on your users and their title was used as this database to send out communications for leagues and different things. Now you're in the Stack Sports world where you're having to register your coaches. I heard things about background check. You're creating your teams, your rosters, all that in Stack Sports. There's a world of duality that you're going to exist in this year when it comes to our leagues, but you'd be having to do this most likely anyway. So before everyone thinks it's my fault, I want you to know that you probably had to do this because if you register for the the RSL tournament or the Blackhawks tournament, Phoenix Rising tournament, Del Sol tournament, whatever tournament you're registering, they are all using GOT Soccer. I don't know if 100% of state clubs that run tournaments use GOT Soccer, but it's probably likely. And so this idea that you're going to have something in GOT Soccer while player cards and your real live data in Stack Sports is happening, that's going to happen regardless of where I was going to do the leagues. Okay. So on our website, one of the things I put out for now is under the Advanced Leagues page, and I've copied it to the Porter Subs page, but it's meant to be kind of a help file. Excuse my poor artistic and creative nature. It's not my normal nature, so you'll see some of this in a second. But it really talks about ASA will utilize GOT Soccer for league scheduling. Your club has been working on changes involving Stack Sports and GOT Soccer. To help provide a better understanding of the interdependencies between the two platforms, a workflow flowchart is available as a resource to you. And I don't know if everyone has seen this, but all this is a visualization of what is the type of data you're going to need in Got Soccer versus Stack Sports. And for example, your player cards, your player passes, and your official roster are being held on the Stack Sports side. But some of those same data elements, which I've kind of intentionally highlighted, are also going to be needed to create your teams in Got Soccer. Okay? And to register for the leagues, you've used Got Soccer. And when the leagues start to create the game cards, creation of game cards, and printing by the teams, by your team managers and what have you for the games, that's all done through Got Soccer. Okay? So if you were to just enter these tournaments, you would still have to do the same thing. You're going to have to create a roster. In regards to how tournaments require certain information at their tournament check-in, every tournament might be a little different, but in general, they require you to have an official roster, which maybe you get from here. Your player passes, which you get from there, right? Stack Sports. Medical waiver, birth certificate, has nothing to do with Got Soccer. But you probably register through here. Okay? I don't know how critical tournaments are going to require that your roster name, date of birth, player ID is relevant to them. I can't speak for them. But for the leagues, it is. And the reasoning is that when you bring this game card to the league games, the referees, they have to worry about that coach who's always mad, this parent who's always yelling. They have a variety of things to worry about. The last thing I want them to worry about is that their game card isn't filled out. It has handwritten names. It has no date of births, has nothing to compare versus the player pass. And if you think about a year ago, right, in theory, all those things matched, and they were all coming from the same database. So it was a very easy job. I don't want to make the referee's job that much harder. So there are data elements, which I've outlined here, and I'll distribute to everybody later, that need to be replicated in this side. If that's manual for you, and it's you, the registrar, that might be your club decision. If it's every team manager doing it, that might be your club decision. Okay. My teams have played in events in California where they use a different software system. We had to register, we had to create a roster. When we went to regionals, we had to do an additional thing through their EMS system. So it's the same kind of process. It is a one-time do it, and you never have to do it for every game thing unless you have changes to your roster. So that kind of makes sense. That's the background. So that slide is on the website. Then this was my first rendition, which is really bad.
Derek, are you using still the Got Soccer list to communicate with everybody?
No, so that's what I'm going to do. Well, when I do global emails, like I'll send emails because people say, well, I never got it. So I'm using Stack Sports, and the importance, I think Dolores or others have probably even mentioned this, who you've identified as your field coordinator, who you've identified as your registrar in Stack Sports. Now, in theory, those are the same people who have had to go through and do your background check on that side, right?
Right, and then I can't stress that enough, that make sure that all those roles that we had in that presentation are filled, because just doing this class, I noticed that a lot of those fields are not, those staff positions are not, and we do, as Derek says, we send out dedicated communication to all those roles.
And I have been sending my emails out to that population, which is, I'll call the top dogs, but everybody, on all my global things, like, hey, Portisub's registration's up, because I don't know who's going to apply yet. Advanced League registration's up. Okay, that's who I will use to send those type of communications. But to go back and still answer your question, if I'm sending something specific to APL, I'm using Got Soccer. Okay, I can go through and find all the teams in APL. I can click those teams and email them, and an example would be, hey, remember, here's kickoff. It's Wednesday night for U15 and up. It's at Reach 11. A couple reminders. I mean, you guys who've seen these type of emails from Chris in the past, remember, no benches, hydration is provided, not provided, tents provided, not provided. Remember to bring 2 copies of your game. Like those type of things that are specific to the event will be generated through Got Soccer, because that type of criteria currently I don't have set up in Stack Sports. So I haven't gone and repeated my events in the Stack Sports side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I'm just wondering if I
So this is my thought process, but I could be wrong. When I'm sending things specific to APL, to ASL, maybe to just advanced leagues or Porta subs or all of those and above, my thought process is the most important people to receive this information, the type of information I'm sending, is coaches and team managers. Okay, I don't think registrars and DOCs necessarily need to know what they need to do this coming Wednesday, or a reminder that there's a traffic jam on the way to Reach 11. Okay, but if I'm sending global emails like, hey, reminder, State Cup event is now published, it's on the website, those type of communications which are more broad before I've created my subset, right, is all through Stack Sports. Any questions on that? So I will send targeted communication, but it's based on GOT Soccer. So it's not only the player data, but it's also the coach and the team manager that you have on the Stack Sports side needs to be identified on the GOT Soccer side. You got to do the same for tournaments.
So then Taylor, is that stuff all under edit users? Is that where we add those people?
Sorry, say it again.
Is that all under edit users?
What?
Admin users? Is that
Who
where
are
we
you trying to add?
For GOT Soccer or Stack Sports?
For staff.
For who are you trying to
Not
add to
soccer, I
this?
know, but
For
like
best,
for field coordinator, for example?
Yes.
That's all under still admin, edit, users.
Admin-
Under your board members.
Are you trying to give them permission to the system?
No, I'm trying to add them, I get it, okay, so that's why I need to find out where the board members are, okay.
Like, do we have a list, Dolores, of like what we recognize as the identified positions, like
Yes, within the PowerPoint presentation, just go by it, it's board.
president, DOC, board member, member at large, things like that?
You have to make that one. Yeah, those, Stack Sports could only do 3, but you can go in there and make your own categories. Yeah, they only came up with,
Okay, so this now gets into specifically why I want to address this. This communication will be coming out this week to everybody, not just leagues, but all registrars. It'll be going through Stack Sports. Okay, but I want to be able to illustrate to you how the game card needs to tie into the player pass, that needs to tie into information you see in Stack Sports and information you see in GOT Soccer, right? There's kind of 4 different illustrations I'm going to go through. So this is an example of a game card that we printed out of GOT Soccer by your team managers or coaches that they'll bring to a Porta Subs game. They will bring to an advanced league game. They're going to be giving it to the referee. And what I've tried to do is stay consistent with color schemes. So for example, green is player data. And you'll see it later on my other pictures. I talk about the data elements that are needed. And for example, the player ID number in Stack Sports is like a 4-4-4-4 format. Let's call it. And so I give an example here. Like an example of the player name. Well, here's LeBron James. He's not playing in our leagues, just so you know. But LeBron James is the player name. So it's going to be really important that the player pass says LeBron James and your roster says LeBron James. Like, do me a favor, don't shortcut it and just say L James, because anything you can avoid having a game start, be delayed, it'll help us, okay? These are the 3 critical data elements: date of birth, name, and ID number. It exists on your player pass, it exists on your game card, okay? This is what kind of a referee is going to be responsible for, like they do right now. I don't care if the jersey number is current. Referees can adjust it. In some leagues, how relevant, we don't report scores. The only time numbers come into play is red cards, to be honest. I will be using the red card functionality that you've seen maybe on game cards, red card and concussions. We redline a player on a game card. They're ineligible until they fulfill their suspension or they've been cleared by a medical professional. So if you've ever had a game card that has a player redded out, it's because something isn't cleared yet. The same functionality I'll be using in GOT Soccer, not necessarily in Stack Sports right now. Okay. The blue data elements are now related to either coach or team name, and I kind of talk about what fields they're going to be pulled from. Maybe a screenshot you're familiar with, but when you apply for the event under the application, like here's the coach, here's primary contact, which is usually like your team manager, or you could use this information, okay? Again, here are some of the fields And I'm gonna clean this up. Like I said, I'm not very artistic in how I do this. So,
Oh, it's perfect,
yeah,
Derek.
some people have reminded me like, what is that? And okay, I'll fix it. I'm sorry. But there's certain fields like club account field, club name, team name. I'll give you an example right now. Like this is maybe not for all clubs, but for a lot of clubs, it's been very challenging who've had mergers. And I can tell you that when I received all the applications for the leagues, when the people registered for the events, they used their prior team accounts. Well, some of those club names said Club A, and then let's just say A, B, and C merged and became Club Utopia. Okay, so some teams said I'm Club A, some teams said I'm Club B, some teams said Club C. Now in the Stack Sports, everyone says Club Utopia. Okay, and if you don't fix this, what's going to happen is your player cards are going to say Club Utopia, Team Derek N. Your Got Soccer game card's going to say Club A, Team Derek N, and you're going to tell me that player John Doe and Jane Smith, who are on Club B, are Club Pass players, but it's not going to say that. It's going to say something else. Okay, so the consistency between your player pass and Stack Sports, and especially if you're involved in mergers, these fields is going to be very important. I talk about how this field plus this field creates your name. And on the game card, it basically takes two fields and carries on the series and says it's called Sereno 06 Yen Boys. Well, club name was Sereno, team name was 06 Yen Boys. So you have to look at that. So club name and team name have to be fixed here, okay? Here's an example just of, player pass. That's just a legend. That's not what your player pass looks like, but you're familiar with what the card looks like. Again, the same consistency of the green data elements. The player ID, it's a 4-4-4-4 series. The red, I just started to work on this because I want to make the red on that Got Soccer field red, so that how it says AZ Soccer ABC has the team name. So again, looking at the colorization to map to those other fields to try to help you out. But we need to make sure that this matches basically the game card. If you're not familiar with, let's say you have a new team account in Got Soccer and you haven't created your team roster, this is where you're going to do it. You're going to create your roster. I'm sure registrars have or are in the process of removing players no longer with the team or club, adding players with the team or club. Keep in mind that you're going to do this once for advanced leagues. You have to do this by August 29th. It'll be in my email communication. That's the first game date for some ages. Okay. If a player signs with your club in November, that's a one-time maintenance you have to do to add that player. Okay. But once you do it, and if your roster has no changes, that game card is accurate the rest of the season.
If we are borrowing a player at any point in time, I need to add them into the roster, because now we.
So I'm going to give you two options, and to define what you're asking, we're talking about club pass players, so within your own club, right? So in our league rules, we allow for club pass players. You have two options. You can add them to this electronically, which then will produce their name on the game card. Right. You got to make sure there's an update button that you have to hit. If you write them in on the game card, you have 15 players here. You write in the one. Make sure you have those three key data elements that are going to match that pass. I'm fine with that.
It just might be easier to write it in nowadays because of all of the back and forth.
Yes.
Because we've got our managers to manipulate the data that's in Got Soccer now. We don't do it on a registrar level.
I can tell you next year, I'm hoping we're 100% in Stack Sports using their league scheduler. One of the key functions that they have, which I'll implement and I really like, is I hope to move away from carrying player passes. Your player pictures are on your game card, just like they are if your team's playing Desert Conference, okay? So that other process of making sure that things in your purse, your fanny pack, whatever you use, right, and have to rush home, that'll go away, right? The other part is the system will also allow you to, or allow me to set a roster freeze date, and I'm going to mandate next year that all roster changes for game days occur 24 hours before the game in the system, because I want to eliminate write-ins. The reason I want to eliminate write-ins is not when things go well, it's when things go bad. So when we are asked to research an illegal player, or a player played 4 games that day, or whatever the circumstance is, I can tell you that my handwriting's bad and I've read worse handwriting than mine. So it's not an easy job to do research on handwrites. So of course we're jumping a year ahead. There'll be a probationary period. We'll have some flexibility, but we'll get to the point where every weekend you have a game, better check your roster and add them, because when you show up on Saturday, if you didn't add them in here next year, that kid can't play.
Okay, so but like let's say I have a club player who's going from the 03s to play on the 02s. Do we have to have the 03, like we have to remove her from the 03 roster
No, you don't.
temporarily, or can we just
You don't.
put her on?
You can handwrite him in on the game card for the league game. Other question there? And then this is just another screen which will be on the distribution, the communication, but it's again using the same color patterns. I'm going to use red as club relevant, blue as team relevant, green is player relevant. So it's just to provide you an illustration of where these data fields map to on a game card. Any other questions about leagues, Got Soccer? All payments occur through Got Soccer. We're pretty much 99% done on leagues, right? I'm still working through some things about people not paying this and that. But for Porta Subs, the registration's now open. Same process for Porta Subs of registering Got Soccer. All your schedules that you're used to, they're all going to be in Got Soccer. So I do recognize that you live in this world of duality, and you know the registrars probably have the hardest job. Coaches have been complaining to me, but registrars this year have had a harder job than coaches, to be honest. Yes, sir.
Like in God Soccer, there is a team ID, right, from previous years. And now Stock Sports is gonna create like a different ID for the team ID. Do we have to match the same ID?
So team ID I don't put as a matched required field. It's an optional. That's totally up to you. I don't personally care. Like when your team shows up to play, the referees don't care what the actual unique number is behind the scenes. The team ID only came into play when you're applying for leagues, because a lot of the application process talks about what did your team do last year. And so the team ID number was important in that process because people went through team name changes, but the team ID number stayed the same. In terms of how the league performs once the kickoff happens, that number is not critical to me. So it's really going to be, I mean, obviously team name's important. Like you want to make sure that your team name on your roster doesn't still say Club A when you're now Club Utopia. That's going to be important, right? Again, we will work through some of those challenges in week 1, probably week 2, but I don't want referees to hold up a game starting in week 10 because we still haven't figured it out. And there'll be a process where someone didn't do it yet or didn't do it right, and you'll get communicated by me because we'll work them out. And I am totally understanding of how you guys are challenged with all this. Except for you, Janelle. You have to get it right.
Porta Subs, when's the last day to enter for Porta Subs?
To apply,
Yeah.
the application deadline is August 15th.
What is the deadline for, block dates?
For advanced leagues or Porta Subs?
Porta Subs.
Porta Subs, you'll do the blackout dates when you register, but there will be a reminder after, okay? Before I start scheduling. I start scheduling essentially by September 1st. I need to get a schedule out, okay? But all of this in terms of true, like, drop dead, you gotta do it right, well, there'll be a second communication out. So it's just a good habit when you apply to then do your blackout dates, but things change. Whether you know your dates or you wanna change your dates, things can still change. And that'll be part of my communication out. Any other questions?
So just the team ID is not important for ASA or anybody right now. So just obviously the kid's ID has to match, but the team ID is irrelevant for everybody.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not important.
Okay.
Because referees don't look at team IDs. They look at team name, they look at coach name, and certain things.
Well, I know there were some snafus about having, clubs having the same team ID and all that, so I know that's been resolved, but if I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it. I mean, keep in mind, like, God soccer points are irrelevant to me. They mean nothing. Obviously, using the scheduler in God soccer, you'll get your points, okay? But points are not part of how I place, do anything. Points could be important to you. Team ID number then is important to you because that record, God soccer points refresh in a 1-year calendar. So making sure you use the right team ID number is important because that comes with the history.
Which means we just erase our history.
And I know, I just got this one, but in order for me, like, for the club, how do we can move up to the next level, like ASA, or state league or something like that? Are you guys gonna keep track of games win, how many games do we win tournaments, so that you can play, so you can play?
So each league has rules about automatic qualifiers and placement. It's in each league rules. I mean, obviously, you get to a certain age, certain level, certain league, how you finish does have impact. Things are no different this year than past years. Seeding for State Cup, President Cup has to do with your finish. It has nothing to do with God soccer points. So if you won APL, you're the #1 seed. There are some things in the rules though that are exceptions that have nothing to do with our league. They're bigger than our league. So if you win Desert Conference, if you win National League, those all are based into the rules in terms of not only seeding for State Cup, President's Cup, but as well as qualifiers for our leagues. There is a new league we just announced. It's an Arizona-New Mexico league for U11, U12. Okay, it's only those 2 ages. It's its first inaugural year. That will go through the same process. That league, if you're signing up, the application is through God Soccer. The player passes are through Stack Sports. So same thing there, right? We're affiliated with that league. Yes, ma'am?
Why did you guys decide to do that?
Well, before you say you guys, I just happen to work here and I do whatever I'm told. I used to do whatever Leslie told me and now I just do.
You don't get a vote, huh?
I'm not sure let's see, how should I answer
Isn't it
this?
kind of like Far West?
Similar, but it's intended to not be that tier. I'll put it that way. So there are many people who do or do not know about Far West, which is now called Desert Conference, right? It used to be called DPL, it used to be called, every year it goes through a name change.
Right.
So this year it's Desert Conference. Not everyone gets into Desert Conference. The concept of Desert Conference is cool. You play other states. You don't have to go to a tournament. But Desert Conference also feeds the National Series. Okay? This league does not feed anything today. I would look at it, being a coach, I would say I would look at it and go, it's an opportunity to play an out-of-state team not in a tournament. It's going to occupy 3 weekends, and you're only going to have to play 1 away series. We've staggered it so that you have 1 Saturday game, 2 Sundays, so you only have to stay 1 night. You can stay as long as you want, obviously. But we're trying to minimize team costs by only having 1 night, okay? The day you will play your in-state teams, you will play in Phoenix area, okay? The day that New Mexico comes here, you'll play in Phoenix, and the day you play in New Mexico, you're playing in Albuquerque this year. Big picture, will it be in Las Cruces next year? Will we play California next year? There's other big picture things we're working on, but for this year, it's the Arizona-New Mexico Interstate League. I like the idea. I can tell you from a cost perspective, it's a great value. It's $900, and you play 3 weekends. You know, it's not 3 mini tournaments, but if you look at it in comparison to tournaments or leagues, it's a great value because you don't pay for ref fees, you don't pay for fields. It's all included. Other answers as to the why? Sure, there's other answers. Yes, sir.
How many games are, is it only 3 games?
No, it's nine games. It's 10 games. It's geared to be 6 teams in Arizona and 4 teams in New Mexico. So it's only U11, U12 right now. It's kind of, let's see what happens. I like the concept. And it's intended to be not your APL teams who couldn't qualify for Desert Conference, to give other people a feel. And the age, it's to give you a feel because then maybe later you build your team, kids develop, whatever. Maybe the next year you can try to apply for a Desert Conference. But Desert Conference is all Region 4, or not all Region 4, parts of Region 4. This is now just a starting point with 2 states.
Does that conflict with, Port Subs,
No, no. No, they're down days. It's 2 weekends in December and the first weekend of January. It might conflict with your holiday plans. It's your choice, not mine.
Soccer always does.
Yeah.
What holidays?
Becomes your holiday. The last thing I'll offer, I'm going to be at the DOC meeting next week as well, but I'll offer to you, to all, since you're representatives of your clubs, if you ever need me to come into your club meetings, maybe you have meetings with coaches. A lot of times that's only done by DOC and coaches, but sometimes registrars have meetings with team managers, what have you. I'm always willing to be able to be proactive, come to your club if you think it's going to help, if you think there's questions that could be answered. I'd rather be proactive than take 50 phone calls. I'd be there once, okay? So, but I'm fully supportive of that. If you ever need me as a resource to help address things, especially from a league, a cup, an event, a tournament perspective, I could help. No matter where you live. Especially Hawaii. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so does anybody else have any other questions that Taylor and or myself can answer? But let me get Taylor back in this room before. Like I said, she's my technical, knowledgeable. Yes, ma'am.
Printing, player cards, I know you do, I don't think you touched on that.
No.
I know it's pretty easy, but how do you just print one player?
You can't print just one, as of today, you cannot.
How are we going to, and I know this will come probably just before the due date. Transferring, like I say, if a player's leaving one club and transferring to another. We used to release them in soccer and that kind of stuff. How are we doing it in sports tech?
The process is that the player will register to an event with the state. It's called a transfer registration event. They'll register there. The state will then get that registration and go into the players.
So it'll have to be handled on a state level.
But the releasing club and the receiving club will both get notification letting you know what that looks like. When you first log into your site, let me go ahead and plug my computer back on. It will tell you guys your statistics. So let me go and pull it up really quickly what it's going to look like.
Okay. Taylor, you didn't even tell us how to print.
Yeah, I'll walk through that right now.
Sorry.
You're fine.
She still has her cold brain.
Yeah, apologize guys. Alright.
Do you have the cord or no?
It's right there. You can reject a player, but the application will still stick. Alright, so to answer your question, so when you first log into your guys' site, you're gonna notice here that you have events with confirmed, pending, and rejected players. Okay, so for academy players, I have 2 confirmed, 1 rejected. Okay, don't have much to really show you guys here as far as statistics. If you notice here, it's gonna give me a sign that I have 5 duplicated teams. Below that, if I had any transfer release players, it'll say transfer release players, or it'll show them. I don't have any live data to kind of show you what that looks like today, but you will have a way to view the report as far as who is released and who is transferred into your club.
Okay, and that would be rough twist by state. Like that would be something that.
Yeah.
We'll
But how's
send
the
out
player
notification
do it?
and everything, but
The player registers to the state site, so if I go to,
Where do they request it, that's what.
yeah, to request it, they'd go to ArizonaSoccerLive.org, player resources.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Where's that?
ArizonaSoccerLive.org. Player resource.
So they go there and they request to be released there,
Yes.
and then we are notified.
Correct. So then when you log in, you'll see that notification on your site.
And we're still following the 6 days, where we'll be the ones to give the clubs from which the player is asking to be transferred or released from 6 days to, whatever you need to do on your side financially or whatever, but you cannot hold them.
From what?
And most of them have to drop in Josh the links from .soccer, we're not doing it because we already saw some players, and I don't know if that was just miscommunication. Be transferred or released, but that might.
Well, yeah, and I've had to transfer back to
Are you gonna still have print player passes?
So we, I thought it was in that. Approved it, but we'll be sending out.
Okay, so
Join the view of the class.
Taylor's gonna go ahead and show you guys how to print player passes and then we'll resume questions.
Alright, so you can only print player passes on approved teams, activated teams. Okay, so once you assign a coach who is verified, or a coach who is cleared, and all your players are verified, then you're gonna wanna request team activation. And the way to do that, again, is to, I'm just gonna look up a random team here that I know is approved. So let's say for, Girls Wood. I'm gonna come in here, I know this team is ready to be activated. I am going to, let's take a look at market.
Yeah, that one's done.
This one's done?
Yeah.
Perfect. We're gonna take a look at this one. This team is approved, but if it was not, I can come down here and hit team activation requested. Okay? Once that team does come up, once you click that, the page will refresh and show approved right here. Okay? Once that team is approved, I can come up here and go to members, print member cards.
Are you guys aware that on your health resources, that is incorrect information? The whole, I just wondered, cause I spent a lot of time trying to go through it, but it's not, it's just, it looks like it's old stuff.
Yeah, so our help center is going through a redo, because we rebranded, so we have to go through the whole rebranding of all of our help resources as well. So, thank you though, I will,
So when you print, you have to print from that exact place where you download to flash drive.
Well, so when you hit print member cards, what it does is it creates a PDF that you can download. And then this is what your member cards will look like. Yeah.
And right now you said, like, if we have a new player, let's say we have a team established and we get a new player in October, we would have to print all the player passes again?
Correct,
Versus
yeah.
just printing one card?
As of today, it's an enhancement request that has been coming in quite a bit, so it's something that I'm bringing back to my team as feedback. But I think pretty much,
it's actually on our product roadmap to fix that. It's just keeps getting pushed back because we have some other things that are taking precedence. So, but it's coming.
You could probably do the snipping tool, you think? Maybe just snip that and then put it, and then print that. I bet you could
get
snip that one out.
really creative and
Yeah.
try it.
Yeah.
I would certainly be that creative and try it, so. Okay.
The international clearance now only applies
For clubs that have a legal, financial, or de facto tie to a profession, RSL, FC Tucson, varsity, yeah, we need to discuss that, Benfica.
And that
We'll
also-
have to discuss it. There's certain ones that stand out, but yes, for most of you, it does not apply. However, just make sure that the players know that are registering that don't have to do it. If they move to a,
one that does it.
they're gonna have to submit.
But it still says on my players.
It does, and it's just part of the
It
system.
It says for an international player, it says pending documents, but it
But
no
that's
longer
fine,
applies,
no,
it
you
doesn't
can-
print on their.
Yes, correct. You just
yeah, I
need
know,
to
I hit it
write
real
it.
quick.
Any other questions?
Yeah, for international clearance, so the players that we know already have clearance,
They're already cleared in the they've been uploaded, imported into the national data center, so when you would register that player and it goes and gets their, creates their number, it's gonna already be cleared.
Okay, so we don't have to do.
You do not have to re-clear your ITC people, correct?
As far as the players are pending their ID number, how long do we have to wait, or who do we talk to in order to get that clear?
The pending ones, because there may be a duplication,
Okay.
so you'll have to send me.
Oh,
You,
I'll send you
yeah,
the
you'll wanna go through your state association.
Okay.
At least that's the direction now. That may change, I have no idea. Since it's a new process for US Soccer as well as for your state association, as well as for us, we're all in this figuring it out boat together.
So one thing that I found out, when I set up my account as an admin, and I did my password and everything, it asked me for my hint, for my password if I were to retrieve it. It's showing up for everybody else. When I have families that are going in and they're thinking they were already registered and they're going to forgot my password, it's giving them my hint. So I've had several that are saying, it's asking me this question, I don't know what it means. And it happens to be my hint, so I don't know,
When did you, so when you first logged in, when did it ask you to set that up?
I've never even heard of it.
I've never heard that either.
the first time I accessed, when I went in, when I was at the training session here and was told how to do it.
Okay, can you,
Yeah.
I'll take note of that.
Yep.
I have a question. If you wanna change a user's access, right now it pops you back to their current access if you wanna give them additional access. How can you, like if, in mine where I have multiple folders. So let's say that I have Mark just on Anthem, but I wanna give him everything. I'm unable to change it just from Anthem to everything.
You'd have to delete him and then add him to the Shield that you'd wanna add him to.
Will that affect his username and password
No.
or anything?
No.
So just delete it out and
Yeah,
then
and then
re-add it
give
back
him
in.
the same username and password.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Good question. You had a question?
Oh, yeah, I'm like in the beginning, how do you send a background check to the coach?
The coach will need to go to your website
Okay?
and then go to, if you published it, did you publish your coach
So
event?
is there any way that I can input his information?
No.
and
Nope.
Email gets sent
No.
out? No, so he actually has to go into Stack Sports and.
Yep.
Whatever, not Stack Sports, whatever your URL is for your club.
You have to publish it from your club portal. So whatever, have you created your registration for your coaches inside your club?
Are you talking, in Stack Sports, no, I have not done anything.
Okay,
in
so
the
that's the
system
first
yet.
step, is creating that registration for your coaches. Then you put it on your website, that's the Stack Sports website for your club, and then that's when they would click on.
So that's something you can help me with?
Yes.
If I want to place your phone call or?
Yeah, you can contact me. I might not be as available as if you were to call our support line.
Okay.
We have a support line. Let me give you the phone number to that.
Perfect, thank you.
So the way to access that is by going to help, resources, and then here's the support line.
Perfect, thank you very much.
You also have some alternate options for you. There are training webinars that you guys can sign up for. These are generic training webinars, so keep in mind that they're not gonna tell you the Arizona process of doing things. But you could certainly look and see if there's one on scheduling, for instance, or website building that you want to take. They're actual live training webinars with one of our educators named Jason. You also have a do-it-yourself help center where if you click on this, you can go into Association Connect / Club Connect. Right here, Club and League / Association Connect, and you can search for anything that you're looking for. So how to drag a widget, or how to open coach registration, et cetera, and then it gives you the top 5 most recent articles up over there in the upper right hand corner.
So if you want to learn how to use a website builder, we have videos in here on how to do that.
And then if you go back to that resource page, you also have a support blog. Now keep in mind that is only available when we're actually open, for the hours that we're open. That's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday currently. And then you have a setup registration. So if you want to have us set up your registration for you, you click on that, you open the forms, fill it out. It takes about 48 hours though. So if you're in a hurry, don't use that. Call the support line and get some help. Any more questions? Yes?
Since I'm manually putting in everybody, and I know that you're able to put family members, now say I miss it, because I'm into like, I have 156 teams, and I'm into 45, and I missed that, oh, on team whatever, I had a sibling. Is there any way to look up on the system to see if I could match parents' names?
Yeah, what
to
you can
then-
do is, at that point, what do you mean match? So what I would do, I think what I just worked with, done with ODP, is come up to the event. Someone jump into just a regular event. Or you just the top shield and go to find. Or sorry, no, we wanna go into an event, the event that you wanna work in. You click on the event, you click registrants, and then add player. And then what you can do is you can just search for last name, and what we'll do is search across the database. Not database, like search across your site.
Okay. So it'll find duplicate mom and dad's names?
Just search, just search the last name, and what it'll do, so, do you have a last name I can search?
Mead, M-E-A-D.
M-E-A-D. It'll show you anyone with that last name. And so I have one family with Mead with, I don't know why they have so many accounts. Who is this?
It's obviously a problem since I remember it.
Yeah, so if I click on their name, what happens? Oh, okay, so that's fine. No, they're good. They only have 2 participants in here, Harrison and Walker.
And then you click, I need to add a new family member.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how you would add your players, is you would just go into the event, click registrants, add player. You can also manage billing. If I click on manage billing, oh, that's where people have payment plans. Doesn't look like South Competitive Housing payment plans.
Okay, any other questions?
Sorry, with, merging, so I'll have like coaches that show up twice, players that show up twice. When I go into the merge tool to try and merge those, it can't find them.
Phone numbers need to match. Not phone numbers, but that's the best way to search for them. So, what club are you with?
CCV stars.
So I know that, yes.
For, dog soccer and staff sport. Now that the coaches are going into staff sport and getting registered and doing background check, will they appear in dog soccer so we can assign them to the teams, or how is that gonna work?
So what?
Again, you're gonna have to work with those 2 systems. They're not
program.
Oh, I'm sorry, Integra.
I think that other platform though takes imports and we have exports, so.
Well, I just have to check and make sure that
I'm
they're
sorry, what is
clear
it, L?
before I can add
Before
them.
you enter.
Right.
And just make sure, I guess the best way is you have a pass, you're able to print it, then you can put it on.
So,
Okay, any other questions?
so you don't have a duplicate.
So Taylor and I and Dolores will be here to help any of you that want to stay behind and get extra help. I know that we've got some questions to answer for a few of you. But for those of you that feel like all of your questions have been answered and you don't need extra help, at least from us here at this time, at this moment of this day, we want to thank you for your time and for your dedication to getting kids on soccer fields and playing the great sport we all love. So thank you for being here, you guys.
And if you need any help, please see me before you.
Yeah, no, those aren't duplicates. The way to find out if it's a duplicate is you gotta find a member. And if their username is
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll let you merge this one because it's
Oh, okay.
Are you importing just the template?
Yeah, for our, because we have so many.
Typically, I've always just tried to put it on there, but I just added it.
Okay, when are you planning to import?
You got it, and it's working correctly when you add it to the user. Yeah,
Okay, so what I can do, I mean, all I need to go over is the template that we're gonna be using. And so I can forward you the template with the import guide, and all you need to do is export that data onto the template and forward it back to me, and I upload it. So I can actually email that to you right now.
Yeah, so you should have no access.
And then what we can do is, you can review it, and if you have any questions, just let me know, and we can jump on a call, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
So I'll do that today when I get home. Yes.
So this was just released on Monday. So yeah, just review this, and again, if you have any questions, shoot me a call. We can even set up an appointment that we can sit down and review it. But once you export that data into that template, what you do is you send it to me and I email it.
Yeah, and I don't think I put